On the surface, the summer of 2021 looked like a dream for 22-year-old Gabby Petito and her fiancé, Brian Laundrie. In photos and short videos posted online, they looked like thousands of young couples chasing a modern fantasy. A white van, national parks, sunlit mountains, and a life free from schedules. They called it van life. They told followers they were traveling across the United States, documenting the trip, and building a future from the road. But behind those bright frames was a quieter story no one could fully see. In July, they left New York in a converted Ford Transit van and began heading west. Through Kansas, Colorado, Utah, and Wyoming, they filmed trails, cafes, and scenic pullouts. Gabby posted smiles and captions about adventure, while Brian appeared in clips and photos as a partner helping with content and travel. To strangers online, it looked carefully curated, maybe even enviable. To the people who loved Gabby, it looked exciting, but also exhausting. Long-distance travel in a tiny van can turn minor stress into daily pressure, and every choice becomes shared. Where to sleep, what to eat, how to spend money, when to move, and when to stop. By August, tension had clearly entered the trip. On August 12th in Moab, Utah, police responded to a report of a domestic dispute involving a couple in a white van. Body camera footage later released to the public showed a shaken Gabby crying and trying to explain what had happened. Brian appeared calmer in the footage, talking with officers as they asked questions and tried to separate the two for the night. No charges were filed. Officers treated it as a mental health-related incident and arranged for Brian to stay at a hotel while Gabby kept the van. The stop ended without either person arrested. At the time, it seemed like just another difficult night in a stressful trip. In hindsight, that footage became one of the most studied and heartbreaking pieces of the case. People would replay every second, searching for a warning they could point to and say, "There, that was the moment everything could have changed." After Moab, the couple continued traveling north. Gabby stayed in touch with family by text and phone, though the communication pattern began to shift. Messages became less regular. Some texts felt unlike the way she normally wrote. Still, family members tried to believe she was just busy, crossing spots with poor reception, or focused on editing content. In late August, witnesses later reported seeing Brian at a restaurant in Jackson, Wyoming, appearing upset during an interaction with staff. Around the same period, Gabby was believed to be in the area of Grand Teton National Park. Then came one of the most important details in the timeline. On August 27th, a family from Florida filming their own road trip drove through the Spread Creek dispersed camping area in Wyoming and captured footage of a white van parked off a dirt road. At the time, it was just another clip from vacation. Later, it became a major clue. By early September, the case took a sharp turn. On September 1st, Brian returned alone to his parents' home in Northport, Florida, driving Gabby's van. Gabby was not with him. He did not publicly explain where she was. Days passed. Her family still had not heard from her in any reliable way. Worry turned into fear. On September 11th, Gabby was officially reported missing. What happened next was unlike most missing person cases. Within days, the story exploded across social media platforms. Amateur investigators, true crime communities, and ordinary users began sharing maps, timelines, and clips. Some posted tips. Some posted rumors. The hashtag carrying Gabby's name spread globally. News networks picked up the story nonstop. The search became both a law enforcement operation and a digital storm. Investigators from multiple agencies moved quickly. They tracked travel data, witness accounts, surveillance footage, and phone records. Search teams focused on Grand Teton National Park and nearby areas where Gabby and Brian had been seen. The van footage from Spread Creek gained new significance and helped narrow search efforts. On September 19th, searchers discovered human remains in the Bridger Teton National Forest area near where the van had been seen. The next day, authorities confirmed the remains were Gabby Petito. The news hit like a physical blow to people who had been following every update. For her family, the grief was immediate and unimaginable. For the public, the case that had started as a missing person search became a homicide investigation. At the center of that investigation was now Brian Laundrie, who had been named a person of interest before Gabby's body was found. But as pressure intensified, another twist changed everything again. Brian was no longer at his parents' home. His family said he had gone to the Carlton Reserve area in Florida and had not returned. Now 2 searches were happening at once. One for answers about Gabby's death, and one for Brian. Weeks passed. Search teams combed swampland, brush, and flooded trails. Helicopters flew overhead. Drones and K-9 units were deployed. Public attention remained intense, with every reported sighting and every agency statement immediately amplified online. Some people wanted justice. Some wanted certainty. Most wanted the same simple thing: the truth. On October 20th, authorities searching a previously underwater section of Myakkahatchee Creek Environmental Park found remains and personal items belonging to Brian Laundrie. A notebook recovered at the scene became a key piece of evidence. In 2022, the FBI announced that the investigation found Brian had claimed responsibility for Gabby's death in written statements, and the case was formally closed. Gabby's case raised painful national conversations about domestic violence warning signs, law enforcement response limits, and the way social media can both help and harm high-profile investigations. Online attention helped generate tips and pressure that kept the search visible, but it also spread rumors and misinformation that sometimes buried verified facts. For Gabby's family, public attention was never the point. The point was their daughter, sister, and a friend, a young woman with plans, creativity, and years ahead of her. In interviews after the case, they spoke about grief, accountability, and prevention. They created the Gabby Petito Foundation to support organizations helping survivors of domestic violence and families of missing people, turning private loss into public advocacy. The story remains haunting because so much of it unfolded in broad daylight. There was no hidden alley, no midnight ambush in a place no one could find. There were roads, campgrounds, gas stations, parks, and videos uploaded from phones in real time. There were witnesses, police contact, social posts, and photos with blue skies behind them. Everything looked visible, yet the danger was still missed until it was too late. That contrast is what stays with people. The split between what appeared online and what was happening underneath. Smiles in posts. Tears in a police stop. Scenic views. Silent fear. A van parked in a clearing. A family waiting for one more message that never came. Today, the case is often discussed as a timeline of events, but timelines can flatten the human reality. Behind every date was a family waking up each morning hoping for better news than the day before. Behind every headline was a mother and father waiting by the phone. Behind every viral video was a young woman whose life became a symbol before she had a chance to become what she wanted. There's no ending that makes this story feel complete. There's only what remains: grief, lessons, and a warning that appearances are not safety. People can seem fine in photos and still be in danger. A relationship can look normal from far away and still be breaking in private. A trip can look like freedom, while fear grows mile by mile. If there is one reason this case continues to matter, it is because it forced millions of people to pay attention to the patterns that often appear before tragedy. Isolation, escalating conflict, emotional control, public calm mixed with private distress. None of those signs are always easy to see from the outside, but once seen, they should never be ignored. Gabby Petito should have come home from that trip with stories, photographs, and a life still unfolding. Instead, her name became part of a national memory built from footage, maps, and questions no family should ever have to answer. The roads she traveled are still there. The parks are still open. The sky over Wyoming still looks endless at sunset. But for many people, the image of that white van parked in the trees has become permanent, a reminder that the scariest stories are not always the ones hidden in darkness. Sometimes they happen in plain sight, one uneasy moment at a time until the silence is too loud to ignore. As always, visit us at readtherealstory.com for more chilling stories you won't find anywhere else.